Well, I'm super excited for us to chat today about all things freelancing. And like I was just saying to them and a couple times before, freelancing, being a virtual assistant is one of the many freelance jobs that you can have. So I'm super
Yeah,
excited for us to like dive into that because I know like freelancing as like a whole is really your area of expertise. And I really kind of focus on the
really?
yeah, I feel like I'm more so focused on VA. You're a freelance mentor and coach. I'm a virtual assistant coach and VA. So, hi, Miss Kathy. So, I'm super excited for us to talk about all things freelancing and why it is a great opportunity for you to build a career of freedom and flexibility. So,
Yeah.
first, let's kind of dive in and tell the people who you are and your journey to freelancing, a little bit about your business.
There's so much in so little time, but for those who don't know, I am Stephen Stanberry. It's a funny story how I got started as a freelancer. Now, I'm going to try and make it quick as best as possible. So, the year was 2012, no, 2013, right? So, see, I've been at it a long time, but I'm going to tell you exactly how. So, the year was 2013. Um, Well, let's go back. It's 2012, December. Yeah. So I started my regular 9 to 5 at a media company. And then by February the following year, 2013, I got a letter saying that they will no longer need my services, myself and 80% of the staff, right? So we all got termination letters.
Yeah.
So then, like, the Thursday of my final week, so they gave us 2 weeks notice. The Thursday of my final week, they decided that they wanted to keep me on because the department that I was in, it would be short staff if they got rid of everybody in the department. So they decided to keep me along with my supervisor for that role. But at that point, I made the decision that I will not give any company that power over me again, because I was like, when you're losing a job, you're worried, you're stressed, all of those things, because you don't know how you're going to pay the bills, you don't know how you're going to get money to buy food and all of that. So
Yeah. And
I was worried
definitely being
about,
the provider of your
yeah,
family. Yeah.
yeah, well, no family at that
Oh,
time. So I was just a loner, yeah.
oh.
It was 2012, remember, 2013.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. They're only what, 4, so you're right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So um, I remember some years prior to that, I came across Upwork, and the name was Odesk at the time. Yeah, so I'd created a profile on it. So I decided that I'm going to do some more research, find how I can get some income on the side while still in this 9 to 5. And that's how I got started. And I also joined Fiverr at the time as well. So I used the company's resources to push my freelancing business. So I was doing voiceovers at the time, right? So I would use their studio to record my voiceover and send to the client. So I'd first use a studio, record the voiceover, add it to my file, then go back to my desk, use their computer to edit that file and send it off to the client. And yeah, so that's how I got started in it part time. And then in 2017, I decided to leave that job and be a freelancer full time. And
Yeah.
here we are today.
Fast
Yeah,
forward. Oh my gosh. Since 2012.
yeah,
That's over a decade. That's 12 years, right? Sorry, math's never been my strong suit.
yeah,
So, but that's awesome. I didn't know it had been that long for you, but yeah, I totally, my experience is a little different in the sense of I know so many people who were let go, and shoot,
yeah,
most of the people I know who entered the online industry and space was actually during COVID when a lot of people were losing their jobs. So
yeah,
you
yeah. A lot of
experienced
persons joined
that.
in COVID.
Yeah, you experienced that 8 years before everything really hit the fan, pretty much.
Yeah, so like during COVID, I found it funny in a sense, because like everybody's complaining like, oh, I can't stay home, I don't know how I'm going to manage. And I say I've been doing this officially since 2017,
Yeah.
right? So I know everything about working remotely. not being able to go anywhere, even though sometimes it's by choice. But mentally, I was already in a space where I could adjust and work from home without going through the depression that a lot of persons went through during the COVID pandemic.
So it's crazy because you had a leg up on all of us because you had already been experiencing that for a while.
Yeah.
So COVID for you, it was like, oh, this is crazy, but you've already established your business. You already had your clients. So it was like, I already work remotely. Nothing's really changing for me.
Yeah.
I think that's fascinating to know because I know a lot of people were unaware of how to even get, obviously freelancing is not a new thing, but a lot of people are unaware of how to get into the freelancing industry, especially when COVID hit. That's kind of like when it blew up because so many people were losing their jobs and or were quitting their jobs. Like I quit my job during the pandemic just of dealing with numerous equity, diversity, and inclusion concerns. But a lot of us were no longer like putting ourselves on the back burner, you know? And I feel like COVID, it's so sad. I always say that it's so sad for everybody that lost their lives and people were sick during that time. But it was also such a great catalyst for change in the world into like the direction of what we want, which is what I feel like our lives all about, like freedom and flexibility. So I guess I'll briefly share like who I am. I'm Alaina Case, the founder of Alleviate Services, and I support women in building virtual assistant businesses to create a life filled with freedom and flexibility. And we do so in our VA the Elite programs, VA the Elite Way programs. So I've just been a full-time virtual assistant now since January 2021. And my story is a little different in the sense of I didn't get laid off. I basically said, bump y'all, I'm out of here during the pandemic. And everybody, I had so many people like looking at me like, oh my gosh, you're crazy girl to be quitting. To be quitting a good job during the pandemic and da 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 da. And for me, it's always been about like my mental and physical well-being first. And when it gets to a point where you're constantly leaving a job unhappy, or for myself, I was like calling my mom and husband crying like, oh my God, this is what happened at work today. Like it was just becoming so exhaustive that it was like, oh no, I need to figure out a better step. And I really just took a leap of faith. I had nothing lined up. Look, you were prepared. I had no idea what I was going to do next. Like I had nothing lined up. Like, I mean, I had a savings and I had a 401(b), which is like a 401k, but I worked for a nonprofit. So, I really had no clue what was going to happen. And then coincidentally, before I launched my virtual assistant business, I had a travel blog. I had a travel blog that I launched in 2017. It was called Beach Love Peace. But at the time, I still had a full-time job too. And during Beach Love Peace, I made a lot of like, just like in the VA industry, have made so many connections online with other business entrepreneurs as well. I made a bunch of travel connections, and a girl that we were actually friends at the time, she also had a travel blog, and she had got laid off from her job in March 2020 during the pandemic. And then she was introduced to a VA program, yada, yada, yada. And then she launched her own in October of 2020. So I quit my jobs August 17th. Like August 31st, but I put in my 2 weeks to be September 17th. But anyways, then October, her program launched, I joined that, and then I launched Alleviate Services January 2021. So that also goes to show you that like what's meant for you will be for you.
True.
Like they can't take it away. It's lined up exactly how it's supposed to be. So I'm super excited for us to talk about all things freelancing and what the freelance lifestyle offers.
You like it's stressing me out.
Why?
It's a lot, but let's go. This is
exciting. Look, this is just a general. I mean, we do have our like topics.
Normally, I'm used to being the one asking the questions. So tonight, I'm on the other side, basically answering the questions.
I'm facilitating.
So this is weird for me.
Well, you know what? This is not the last. This is just the first of many. So you better get used to it, because this is how like we put our faces out there and for people to know how we can support them and what we do. And I also noticed, the last live, we talked about this too. The last lives that I did was in 2022 when I did a live series, and I did 17 of them, which is awesome, because when you are the interviewer, you get to learn so much from the guests, but it also puts you in a position where you're not sharing your expertise and how you know it. So I know that like we're doing this, but it's both of us to share our own expertise on freelancing because, like I said, it's just completely different
Yeah.
opinions and
Yeah.
experiences we have, which is nice to bring to the table. So don't be scared. It's just us. Okay. So what do you think? What do you think? How does freelancing differ from like traditional employment and in terms of work-life balance? Because I think that's like the overall consensus of why people want to join the freelance industry is because they want a work-life balance, but they don't really understand how they can gain that by becoming a freelancer. So what's the difference?
Uh, Basically, it's simple. Living life on your own terms, the freedom to choose. Um, but before I get into detail, I must clarify that there's a difference between freelancing and remote work.
Yeah.
So while remote work falls under freelancing, it's still it's kind of tricky, but we'll get to that soon. So basically, being a freelancer, building life on your own terms, choosing the clients, setting your schedule, that's one of the benefits of becoming a freelancer compared to working in a traditional 9 to 5 where you don't have as much freedom because you're always on the clock, and then usually the times that you are allowed to go and do stuff is outside of business hours. So if you're supposed to take care of business, then you probably need to request time off or take a few hours here and there. And based on my experience, some employers can get, what's the word that I'm looking for? They don't like when you take time off to deal with personal business. So
Yeah.
yeah. So being a freelancer allows you this time an opportunity to take care of business, spend more time with the family, go out and have some fun, stuff like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think from an interesting standpoint, from like the business owner side,
Yeah.
when they're hiring a freelancer or virtual assistant, it's a better opportunity in the sense of it's not like a full-time employee.
Yeah.
They don't have to pay those
Taxes.
benefits.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all those
taxes,
benefits.
the
Yeah.
benefits. I mean, obviously they still got to pay taxes, but not for that employer.
Yeah.
Um, and just like you said too, you don't have to request PTO. You get to build your own schedule. You get to build it around. I always love to say this, build your career around your life, not
Yeah.
your life
Life
around your
around your
career.
career. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
We especially after COVID and pandemic, it's really been a situation where life and family and friends, I mean, it's always been the most important, but it is at the forefront. Like this time that we have, we're not getting it back. It's
Yeah.
going to continue to fly past this. So it's like we want to be able to spend our time with the people we love, doing the things that we love.
Yeah.
And I know being a VA and being a freelancer can really allow people to get back to like the things that they love in life, and not just like personally, professionally. Like you can do work you enjoy. You don't have
Yeah.
to be slaving at a 9 to 5 job. And I think that's another big difference of the work life and being a freelancer is that with working a traditional employment, a lot of people just do it for the check because they have to pay
True.
their bills. I
Yeah,
mean,
and the security it's a safety net. So even
yeah.
though that they're unhappy and miserable in the job, they still prefer to keep that steady paycheck, that safe paycheck versus venturing out to something else, whether it's freelancing or some other business venture.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people too are scared to get started because they just, like you said, they don't know where to start. They're
Yeah.
unsure of how to get into freelancing. So really, like, I think that'd be a good question to ask next. But before even talking about that, why don't you share the difference between freelancer and remote work?
All right. So basically remote work, as a freelancer, you're a remote worker because you're not physically going into a space to work for your client. But then you have long-term remote work, which is basically still a fixed schedule, whether 9 to 5 or 10 to 6 or whatever hours. Especially if you're in customer support or operations, those kind of remote roles that still require you to have a fixed schedule, and based on the company's policy and guidelines, you still only get time off at particular time during the year. You get a 2 week or a month if you're lucky. So it's basically the same thing as a 9 to 5. The only difference is that you're not traveling to and from work on a daily basis. but freelancing, you know, as the word suggests,
Yeah.
free. So you're able to build your own schedule, live life on your own terms. If you feel like not doing any work today, then as a freelancer, you can definitely do
Yeah.
that. But make sure you compensate the client for that going forward.
I definitely
Yeah.
think it's all about communication within the
Yeah.
freelance industry.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and being able to take the day off when you like today, technically, I should have technically been back from vacation today, but we didn't get in until very like late, like 5 in the morning. So I ended up just telling my clients for today, hey, like I'm going to reschedule our meetings. This is the only thing I said I wasn't going to reschedule because I was like, oh, it's at 8 p.m. anyways,
Yeah.
and I'll be good by then. But yeah, exactly that. Like the freedom to say, hey, like I can't connect today. Can we reschedule? And just being, you know, communicative with your
Mm-hmm.
clients and your
Yeah.
students or whoever you have. So I do enjoy that, like the flexibility, as we keep getting
Yeah.
back to.
Definitely. Yeah.
That's why it's in the title,
Yeah.
freedom and
And
flexibility.
and and you see, I've I was going to say the best of both worlds, but I'm going to say the best of. I've experienced all three worlds, if you want to put it that way. The
Yeah.
regular 9 to 5, the remote work, and the freelancing lifestyle. So, in terms of freedom and flexibility, the best option is definitely being a freelancer, because if you decide to go the path of remote work, where you look at a job for a company, then a lot of your freedom will still be taken away from you.
So, how do you think, like, what are the 3 things that people need in order to get started in the freelance industry?
Three things.
Yeah. To give them like that action plan.
I'm going to spread it out a bit.
Okay.
One, you need a skill, right? You might not know your skill yet, but we'll work on that. So we'll help to discover what your skill is. One. Two, you need a positive mindset. And three, you definitely need a laptop, right? And why I say that, because oftentimes persons ask if they can freelance from their phone. While it is possible, it is extremely difficult to freelance from your phone, especially if it's a lot of task related duties that you're doing. And the phone, while it's good, still cannot replace a laptop at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, and my 3 things are very similar to your same thing. You need confidence, you need Wi-Fi, and a laptop.
Yeah,
Because as
well,
long as I have Wi-Fi on my laptop, I'm good
yeah,
wherever.
yeah, yeah, true. Because you need the Wi-Fi. You definitely
Yeah.
need it. And
And you
I
have to
have,
have confidence in your
yeah,
abilities and what you do. And just like you said, the skill set, those things, you can hone those
yeah,
things. But if you don't believe in yourself and believe in what you can do and how you can support your clients, or believe in yourself to achieve the goals and the dreams that you have for yourself, you're
mm-hmm.
not really going to get anywhere. And I always say confidence comes as you do. It
Yeah,
comes as you show up. As I mean, even like this, I haven't done a live in a very long time, and I recently just shared too that like oftentimes I like to talk on my stories, but most of my posts on my page are not me sharing valuable information because I get nervous in front of the camera. I sometimes
yeah,
like stumble over my words or I stutter, but we're human at the end of the day. I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. And just continuously showing up and doing stuff like this, and also, you know, having the opportunity to have these new videos, which we're not going to say anything yet because that's going to be a
mm-hmm.
later surprise.
Yeah.
But yeah, being able to just show up more. Confidence comes as you do, as you put yourself out there. So
Yeah, well, I think the term practice makes perfect. So even if they're not confident initially, once they keep practicing and trying and putting themselves out there, then they should develop that level of
yeah.
confidence going forward.
See, but I also like to avoid saying practice makes perfect, because then I don't want people to get into that idea, because we all do, of perfectionism. And it doesn't
Yeah.
exist, you know? Like you just
Well,
got to show up and do it.
yeah.
Like I posted a video not too long ago, one that you edited, and I was like, whoa, this is so good, that I deleted it off my page because I was like, oh, my video was horrible, you know? But at that same time, I didn't let it stop me. I
Yeah.
posted it. So it's just going out there and like putting yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I definitely think we are in agreement with the 3 things just to get started, which those things are, I mean, one, what you said, it's already within you. You know,
Yeah.
I think the only thing that costs money is laptop and Wi-Fi, and it's a one-time investment. Well, hopefully, I know, like, you know, technology has a mind of its own, so
Yeah.
computers and stuff can mess up, but oftentimes it's a one-time investment in yourself to then create a business, become a business owner, create your own schedule, work with the clients you like, only off of paying for one thing,
Yeah. That's
two
true.
things. So, crazy.
There are
So
other
I know that we kind of,
expenses, but we won't tell them about
wait,
that yet.
what?
So there are other expenses, but we won't mention those as yet.
Oh yeah, no, we're just getting in
Yeah.
the basics. But that leads us to our next like topic too, is that we just gave them like the three basics of what you need to get started. But in
Yeah.
regard to like the essentials and like setting up your business, name three of those too. Like, don't go into detail because if they want more information, they're able to work with you one-on-one to get those, but give them a little like synopsis of it so that we can leave them with some value.
Which one is that again?
So setting up your freelance business, essential steps.
Right. I had my notes somewhere. I'm trying to figure it because I can't remember everything. You know?
You know, look, that's exactly why we have our notes. I mean, again, we're human. It's a normal conversation. We're letting it flow.
Yeah.
I will say though, like from a virtual assistant standpoint, in setting up your business, you really only need, again, you need a laptop and Wi-Fi, but in regard to like actual platforms, I would
Yeah.
say that is you don't need a website. So how about that? Let me tell you some things you don't need. You don't need a website to get started in freelancing or virtual assistant industry.
Started. Keyword,
Yes.
to get started.
To get started.
Yeah.
Down the road, of course, it is essential because you want down the road, especially with marketing and digital marketing, which is what a lot of this online space and freelancing and virtual assistant community is all about. You do want a place that is continuously going to draw your ideal clients or viewers back to. And that typically is your website.
Yeah.
But to get started, you don't need it. All you really need is a portfolio or a pitching template, which you can make on Canva, and Canva is free.
Yeah.
So portfolio, pitching template, make it on Canva for free. Second is set up your pitching, like your packages and services document. You can create that in Canva as well. And or Honeybook. I know that they are a good CRM. I love them. I pay for them, but they also have a free, well, they used to. Don't quote me now. But they have the free version too, where you can create your packages and services in there. And then lastly, it would be an email. And you don't need a professional business email when you get started. You can just use
Gmail
to get started. Yeah, I think down the road it does just look better in building trust with your clients. Yes, true. But in the beginning, as long as it's like, if I would have started, I could have said elitevaservices@gmail.com.
Yeah,
you know, still make it professional, but you don't have to really pay for anything other than the Wi-Fi and the, your laptop to get started.
Yeah. So add my list to your list. One other thing, another one is not registering, coming up with a business name. So you don't have to register it yet, right? But come up with a professional business name that you think sounds good and looks professional that you can use, because you just don't want to put your name as the business name. Yeah.
But it could be if they want it to be, you know, like, I know a lot of people and some of my clients, it's their name and then coaching, you know, or business consulting.
Well, coaches and consulting. Yeah, that's because from my LLC, the name of the LLC is SB Stanberry, which is my name.
Yeah.
Right?
But that's also good for tax purposes, but that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah. So another one is once you've established, you need to get a separate bank account. So you don't have to create a business bank account yet, because remember, the business is not legal. So you probably have two personal accounts. One of them you would use to collect the funds from your freelancing business and all the expenses from it. Then when you're registered, then you can do everything through the business bank account. But temporarily, don't mix it with your everyday spending account. So if you're going to the restaurant or going to the supermarket, make sure it's not coming from that personal account that has your business funds in it, your business earnings.
Yeah. Unless you're going to use it as a business write-off.
Yeah, business expense, yeah. We mentioned the online presence, so make sure you create depending on the platform where you're selling your services, If you're going to use Instagram, create a separate Instagram account for that and use the business name that we mentioned earlier. If you're going to use LinkedIn, you can use your personal LinkedIn, but make sure your profile is optimized so that you can target the right people. So don't just have a basic LinkedIn account with no profile picture, no information in the About You section, no headline. You have to have all these information filled out in order to target leads on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is a very good platform to reach and to make connections and to build your network and to get clients.
Yeah. LinkedIn is for the business professional for sure.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, the pricing policy, if you can't, Honeybook you mentioned, right? Yeah. If you can't use Honeybook as yet, so do a bit of market research. So probably you could reach out to similar persons in your niche as a potential client and ask them their pricing. So you want to get a general market research of how much it would cost to price your product. And you can go in at the lower end since you're just starting, especially if you have no experience in the field. Another thing you can do is use ChatGPT. So now that you have a pricing structure, you can use ChatGPT to write out a price guide for you and create it in the different tiers, for example, silver, bronze, gold, or tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, whatever name you want to give it. And then you can create that, copy that information to a
Canva.
to Canva for a design. And then you have that as part of your collection that you can send to your clients. Or you can create a Google Sheet and you save it there. And when you're reaching out to clients, you can send them different pricing structure through that.
Yeah.
So those are some free and easy ways in order to start your freelancing business.
That was a big free tip. I hope y'all had your pencil and pen out, because using ChatGPT to help you create your packages and then actually creating that document in Canva, that's a big thing to get started. You need a services and pricing guide, and that right there will help you. I will say, though, to play devil's advocate with Steven, with social media, sometimes I don't feel like you always need separate pages. I do have like a business page for Olivier Services and my own personal. But now down the road in regard to Instagram, sometimes it's okay to all have it in one, because people want to see the face behind the brand too, as long as like your personal page is not all crazy and stuff. But yes, splashing your regular life into your business page and accounts, like that's what people want. I'm not just a VA robot, I am definitely doing what I'm doing. I'm a human. I'm going out, having fun with my friends and stuff like that too.
So that's an important thing. That's what I usually recommend. Especially if it's not freelancing and somebody just wants to start a general page on Instagram or TikTok regarding their business. So you still have to make it seem as if you're human and you still have fun.
No, make it seem you are human.
I don't know. It could be AI. It could be AI.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and plus you have faceless channels that's all the big rave right now. But if you're running a business, you have to show persons who you are. You have to show your face sometimes. So even though you create content using graphics from Canva or video, any other graphics that is not yourself, it's always good to integrate yourself into that into the platform, whether it's on the stories or you can make a reel showing you doing work. So it's always good using yourself in the reels doing actual work. Well, even if you're faking it just for the video, but use yourself in the reels, pretending as if you're working on projects for clients, etc., etc.
I will say that like the biggest thing in freelancing in the VA industry in general to me is really just like being yourself. Being authentically who you are, because each of us has our own superpower and we each bring something different to the table. And I always love to say, like, don't get discouraged when you're looking at other people's pages or other online preneurs or other freelancers, because everybody again has their own journey, and what you may be looking at could be a journey in the making of 10 years. Like looking at your journey, you know, you would never know, and or my journey, 4-year journey. Like, never compare your journey with somebody else's, because at the end of the day, you are, you know, you are an individual, you are your superpower. And what just because somebody may offer the same services as you doesn't mean that they do it like you, or how
Yeah,
you'll do it,
yeah,
or the relationship that you can build with your clients, or the network you build. So I think, again, in any industry you are, like, just focus on yourself, focus on your own journey, know that you are unique, and the services that you offer are
or
unique.
unique, yeah.
And yeah, so I think that's like an essential thing to keep in mind too, that, like, don't forget about you and who you are,
Yeah,
because that
that's
really
true.
separates you from
Yeah,
others, and why people would want to work with you.
exactly.
So, oh, let's kind of like dive into more of, I know you shared, we talked about LinkedIn briefly, and then you also talked about Upwork, but what are some of the other platforms, now that they know the essentials to get started, like registering, getting, using Canva, using a CRM, blah, 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 services and package guide. Now, what are some of the ways that they can find clients, other than LinkedIn? Or if you want to go into detail, like how they can use LinkedIn to get it, or Upwork, what are some other platforms they can use to find their ideal client?
All right. You see, if you'd asked me this before COVID, I could give you the easy answer. But post COVID, it's a lot more difficult. But I'll explain why. So, getting clients is finding platforms to get clients is easy, right? Notice I said finding platforms to get
Platforms.
clients easy. I didn't say finding clients is easy. No, we already mentioned LinkedIn. You can use Instagram if you wish, depending on your niche. But it will take a lot of searching to find what you're looking for on Instagram. You can join Facebook groups. You can do a regular Google ad search, not Google ad, just a Google
Yeah.
search. You can use Upwork, you can use Fiverr, you can use flexjobs.com. You can use other websites like Guru, WeWorkRemotely.com, and all of these. There's a depending on the platform, there's a mixture of long-term work as well as short-term projects, like one-off projects, as well as the option for remote work and just general freelancing roles. Um, why I said it would be easier prior to the pandemic is that time the market wasn't as saturated as it is now, right? So since COVID came, a lot of persons decided that, hey, whether they ended up as freelancers by choice or by mistake, they're enjoying it and they don't want to go back to the traditional 9 to 5 roles. So now more persons are working online, more persons are becoming freelancers. So you realize that if your profile was basic before COVID and you were able to land jobs on, let's say, Upwork, for example, now it's not so easy. You have to bring your A game in order to find clients on Upwork. And with recent changes that the platform has introduced, it makes it a lot more difficult in order to get clients. Like in some cases, I've seen where persons literally set up automations using Zapier to get to find the jobs that they want to apply for. So they would set up a Zapier, get an email notification every time a job is posted based on their niche, and then they would jump on and apply immediately. So persons are getting really creative in applying for these roles. So I think the best approach right now, if you want to do fine both, as in use third-party platforms or do your own research and do lead generation and find your clients, then thumbs up. But personal recommendation is just forget those third-party platforms right now, right? And when I say third-party, I'm referring to Upwork, Fiverr,
LinkedIn.
Guru, not LinkedIn. LinkedIn still works.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, LinkedIn still works.
I was gonna say that's my favorite.
Yeah,
I mean, Instagram
yeah,
too for me, but
yeah. So Instagram, so these ones still work, but I'm referring to the freelancing, the freelance specific
yeah.
third party platforms. So those are very difficult to get into right now, especially if you're a newbie. So if you're new, it's hard to get in and get some jobs. So a recommendation would be, if you know somebody on the platform, how should I put it? Or you ask a friend of yours to buy your services, right? To get started on Upwork or Fiverr. So that way the algorithm would push you up there. Because remember, it's an algorithm based platform. So based on that, you can ask somebody. So, for example, you join Upwork today and you're not getting any freelancing, no virtual assistant gigs, then you would just say, hey, Steven, can you create a job for me and let me do it? And then you leave me a 5-star review on it. So that can help me push the algorithm in my favor so I can get clients. So these are some of the strategies that you'll have to take if you're using those platforms. Alternatively, the best recommendation right now is, especially if you're not highly skilled, right? And when I say highly skilled, I'm referring to like somebody who's into coding or UX design or video content, software development, all of those. If you're not highly skilled in those, then I would recommend using platforms like Google search to find clients, Instagram and LinkedIn, as well as Facebook.
Yeah, I agree. My usual go-to platform is LinkedIn for job
Uh-huh.
opportunities. I know that sometimes in there you have to be careful on all these platforms because somehow scams get in, even with
Yeah.
security measures. Because I know LinkedIn is really big on like removing those, but sometimes it can happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really just about like, being reading those descriptions and making sure that you do your own due diligence when you're researching those websites. Like, don't just see a job and not go look at their website
Yeah.
to see if it really is a website and so on and so forth. But yeah, I love all of the platforms that you shared, and I 100% agree with you too. I think like right now, the best way in regard to freelancing for a VA to find clients is through Instagram, like finding your ideal client, go on their pages, interact with other
Mm-hmm.
people because you
Yeah.
already know who your ideal client is based on the services that you want to offer. So it's like just putting yourself out there and pitching yourself. I really think that's the biggest
Yeah.
way. And then same thing with LinkedIn, going out there and finding those opportunities and pitching yourself. And
Yeah.
that kind of brings us back to where we said like one of the essential documents is creating a pitching template or a portfolio so that people can see how you can support your clients and the services that you offer, and then going to these platforms and finding those clients.
Yeah. One of the things that I forgot to mention in regards to being a freelancer is that you learn new skills and you have to learn them fast, right? And I'm not referring to skills where you're going to use that skill to apply for a job. I mean skills in running your freelancing business. So if you've never done sales before as a freelancer, for example, a virtual assistant, you'll have to know sales because you're pitching, you're selling your services to the client. Um, you're now a graphic designer. So if you've never designed anything in your life, you'll have to design content that you'll need to post on your social media pages. So in order for people to see what you're about, and that potential clients might see it and reach out to you as well. And there are a bunch of different skills that you'll develop, but we'll discuss that further down in the or the next session, depending
Yeah.
on where that is on our list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the next session where we really dive into like the skill set. Yeah.
Yeah.
Today is really just all about like the balancing and how you can
Mm-hmm.
get started in it. So I also think that with skill set, yes, you learn so many other skills as a freelancer and a VA because you're dabbling in
Yeah.
different things, especially when you're a newbie, which I think that it's really good. I know a lot of people say when you start off to niche down into a particular industry. I personally don't think that you should niche down right when you get started, unless you know for a fact that that's what you enjoy to do. But I think like trying new work in different skill sets or different assignments that your clients want, it really helps you identify what it is that you love doing. So if you've never done project management or podcast management or social media management or all
Yeah.
these general tasks, you don't really know what it is that you like to do until you've tried it. So I think really dabbling in different work first when you first get started will allow you to then kind of select what services you really want to start promoting in your business and offer to your clients. And then from there, you can niche down.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
beginning, try it out.
Because when I started, quote unquote, I niched down in terms of what was on my Upwork profile because I started mainly on Upwork. And my niche at the time was voiceovers and content writing, right? So I did get those, but from time to time I would be invited to jobs from clients. Transcription. I declined the transcription. I've tried that once in my life and said, this isn't for me.
And now
But
there's tools for that.
yeah, but so yeah, because back then you had to listen everything
Yeah.
and type it out word for word. So I usually decline the transcription jobs. I've gotten data entry roles. Basically, these are things just come my way. I didn't really apply for them. They just invite me to apply, and I applied, and they employed me to do the role, short-term projects. And then after that, I decided to niche down. So when I decided, I've got my foot in, and then say, all right, this is what I want to focus on. And that's one of the best strategies that you can use in terms of getting the business out there and getting yourself established as a freelancer. So unless you, as you mentioned, you definitely know what you're going to do. So if you have certain skills like, let's say, a UX designer, then definitely you can niche down initially and find your clients. But if you're unsure, you don't know what you're good at yet, then you can always play around with it, explore different ideas, and then you can niche down after you've decided exactly what you want to do as a freelancer.
Yeah. Because I think one thing to remember too is that although you're new to the VA industry or freelancer industry, you're not new to your skill set and experience that you already have, your previous employment, the degrees that you have. You already have something to offer. You have a ton of skill set to offer. So it's just truly identifying how you can utilize the skill set that you already have in this online space. And there's so many opportunities, programs, coaches like Stephen and myself that can really help you navigate this online journey depending on the route you want to take. But don't forget that, like, you come into this industry with a skill set, with experience. It's just figuring out how to utilize that experience and skill set in this online industry. And I think that's a really fun part too, is being able to dabble, being able to try all these new things. I would have never known personally for myself that I enjoy podcast management. I do all things for podcast, like for a couple of my clients, I do all things podcast management except for video editing. I do not do the video editing. He has a teammate who does that, but I would have never even known that that's something that I enjoy doing. And now in this world with AI being at the forefront, I really enjoy like prompt creation and really dabbling into ChatGPT. And I love that you brought that up too, but I also love to play devil's advocate there as well, because I think so many people are thinking that, oh, I'm just going to use ChatGPT for everything. But there is a right and a wrong way to use it. And it can be very prevalent when you're reading copy or reading stuff and you can tell that, oh, this is ChatGPT.
GPT,
Yeah, because it uses all those extra superlatives. It uses in a world brimming, in a landscape of, and all these things. So it's really about using this AI tool in the right manner to be able to promote yourself and your brand and the way that you still want it to be recognized without it sounding all artificial intelligent.
Yeah. And you have to use the right prompts as well. Because if you're basic, like, for example, you type, how can I get started as a freelancer? And then I type the same thing. Chances are we'll get the same information versus being more detailed about the prompt that we're using it. Then that will determine the type of information we get from ChatGPT. So it's good not to be basic when you're using ChatGPT, especially if you're trying to run your freelancing business. And there are tons of prompts that you can find online, whether paid or free version that you can use in order to use ChatGPT to its maximum potential.
Yeah. And this kind of like segues us too into our next like conversation topic is how to be productive with time management as a freelancer. And ChatGPT is definitely one way, but what are some other ways that you think people or freelancers can manage their time when they actually join this industry and field? And how to stay productive in it?
Set a schedule, right? That's there's no two ways about it. It's set a schedule. That's the main thing, because what if you just get up today and say, all right, work on this and just working with the flow, then you're going to have some serious problems in the long run. So it's basically set a schedule. If you're a video editor, you decide that between this time and this time you're going to work on this video. At X time you're probably going to take a break. Then at X time you're going to probably create some content to post on social media. And at another time you're going to probably reach out to some more leads or respond to your emails, versus not doing any of that and just jumping between tasks multiple times throughout the day. You can feel overwhelmed, and that can cause some problems, right? You'll feel as if you're not running your business to its full potential. So one other thing is you can download time management tools. I cannot remember any time management tool right now. So if you remember one, you can just say it.
Yeah, like I use Clockify,
Yeah,
Every
yeah,
Hour.
yeah, 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 those. Also, you need a task management software.
ClickUp,
Yeah, so
Trello,
our
Asana,
favorite is ClickUp, but the alternatives, there's Trello, there's Asana, there is Monday,
Irritate.
um, Airtable. Yeah. So it's best you just find the ones, explore them, or watch videos on YouTube, look how they work, and see which one you think is best for you. But for us, we love ClickUp. ClickUp is our go-to task management software, and depending on the version, there's a free version and there's a paid version. Naturally, if you use the paid version, you get more benefits, but the free one is just as good.
I agree. Yep, I love those time management tools because I definitely use a lot of them. And also, I'm like looking for it. I also have this time block on my desk, which, if you're like me and sometimes you get stuck in a work groove where it's like you're sitting at your desk for hours
Yeah.
and then you're like, whoa, I didn't eat lunch. What's going on? I sometimes like to use the time block. I got it on Amazon, and each side it just tells you how long you're going to work. So if I'm only working for 30 minutes, so on and so forth. But this really helps too, along with my project management tool, my Clockify, all this stuff.
So do you use
I always need like
it every day, or you forget to use it?
Oh no, I
sometimes?
don't use it every day
Okay.
now. It's like sometimes, but that's the thing too, is that when I catch myself like constantly just sitting at the desk and not moving or getting up to go eat sometimes, which I'm really bad at that. Like my husband will be like, "What is wrong with you? Go eat something." And I'm like, "Hold on, I'm just almost finishing it up." Or like I just get into these work grooves because I do enjoy what I do and I just want to like knock it out. Or I make these to-do lists. I said this not too long in my story, but I make these to-do lists sometimes that are like ridiculous, that I would have never been able to accomplish that to-do list. I do accomplish so much on it, but it's like, I'm like, let me see what else I can get through. But that is not good time management and productivity. So don't follow that.
Yeah, don't do that.
I'm so much better now than I used to be. But these are the reasons why having, tools and using tips to enhance your time management is so important, especially when you work for yourself, because you can get trapped sitting at your desk.
There's some important ones that we're leaving out. You need good, how should I put it? Furniture. Put it that way. Right. One, don't work from your bed. Right. That's a no. Don't work from your bed. All of us did it at some point in our freelancing journey. The sofa is okay, but it's not something that you should do long term. So you need to get a proper desk. Now, for me, I realized I used to sit at my desk for hours, right? No movement. But then I decided to get myself an electric sit-stand desk. So at various points in the day, I would change and stand and work. And Other times I would go outside, walk around the house, get some exercise in, get some blood flowing in my feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So those are some of the things that you have to do, because a lot of times, just like and it's similar to a 9 to 5, right? But a 9 to 5, depending on the nature of the job, if it's an office role, chances are you might be sitting for majority of the day, and the only time you're standing is if you go to the bathroom or you go for
Yeah.
lunch, right? So the same approach is taken at home. Chances are you're sitting at your desk for hours, and for longer hours too than the office, because you might not limit yourself to a 9 to 5 or 8 hour shift per day. You might be working 10, 15, depending on how you schedule your freelancing or your business. You have some persons who decide to work just 3 days for the week, so they cram everything into 3 days, and then they take the next 2 days off to just chillax. So all of that, if you're going to be one of those persons, then you definitely need to get yourself in a position that you can exercise and to stretch throughout the day, and not be a bed. What's the term that we want to use right here?
Couch potato or bed
Yeah,
potato. But and
couch.
this is the reminder,
Yeah.
and this is the reminder of why being a hey Mark, and this is the reminder of why being a freelancer or virtual assistant, it's so important to have that flexibility and freedom. Don't put yourself back into that 9 to 5 mentality
Yeah.
of only sitting at your desk. And I again, we're all human, so we all fall into this trap sometimes. I do myself too, and I've been a full-time VA now for three years. You've been being a freelancer for 12 years, and we still fall into these traps. But it's just about getting back into those methods and tips that we were just explaining to make sure that we're not doing that to ourselves. Because the whole reason we created these businesses and lives is because we wanted that freedom and flexibility. So I will say I use my dog a lot to hold me accountable.
Yeah.
And I love that though, because it's like, okay, yeah, I know for a fact I'm going to take you out a couple times to walk. That helps me get that fresh air and get some vitamin D. I swear the sun revitalizes me. So I can't wait for it to be good weather, but that's just good for all of us to get out there, get grounded, put your feet in the grass, get your crystals. I'm all about good vibes and energy. So I think that that's the best part too about obviously being a freelancer. It's the flexibility, being able to create that schedule and make sure you don't get stuck back into that 9 to 5 mentality and grind.
Yeah. Another important time management tip is to break down larger projects into smaller ones, into time blocks, using your time block, for example. So that's a good way. So if you have a large project, it's good to break it down using the time block, so you can structure yourself and not feel overwhelmed on that one project. And then you still have time to do other projects in the meantime.
And this kind of also segues into the next one too, of strategies with overcoming challenges that a lot of new freelancers face. And a lot of that stuff we kind of touched on too, which is finding clients, pricing services, managing workload. But what are some of the other strategies that we can share to help them overcome maybe these time management hurdles, or having difficulty finding clients, or just the fear of getting started? Because I think that's a big one a lot of people have. It's just the fear of getting started. So what did you do? I know it's so different, but what did you do? I know that made you not feel scared to take that leap.
No, okay. All right. When I quit the 9 to 5 in May of 2017, right? My coworkers were asking me what I'm going to do. I said, I don't know, right? I just knew I was going to freelance, but I did not say that to them, because a lot of persons at the time didn't know what freelancing was, or even the banks, because I had issues with the banks at that point trying to get an account when I said or do business when I said I'm a freelancer, and they say, what is that? And I have to bring up the definition. But yeah, yeah. So don't quit your 9 to 5 just yet, right? So don't quit. So I don't want you to come and blame us, say that we told you to go be freelancers and then you're struggling. So don't quit your 9 to 5.
I will say that because people hear my story all the time and they're like, oh, and I'm like, no, obviously if you're at a 9 to 5 and you're feeling that it's no longer conducive to your mental and physical well-being, your health and your mental comes first, but don't just quit to get started.
Yeah. So the best thing you want to do is try to do some freelancing projects on the side. So once you've identified your skills, and you decide how you're going to find these clients, whether it's through Upwork, Fiverr, LinkedIn, Facebook groups, Instagram, Google search, whichever. Once you've decided all of that and the type of service you're going to offer to the clients, then you can go ahead and pitch to them. So that way you can see if you're successful in getting these clients, or I should say when you're successful in getting these clients, right? And if you like it and you see that this, you can build a sustainable business from it, then after that you can make the decision to quit if you can't balance the two. Because I've known persons who have balanced both freelancing and the traditional 9 to 5 for like a year or more, right? But after a while, they decided to give up on one of them for whatever reason. Another thing, there was something else in my mind, but it slipped. It went away. I guess when it comes back, I will let you know. But yeah, find your clients, reach out to them. Oh, yes. The first person you pitch to might not. All right, scrap that. Don't pitch to 5 people and expect to get a response, right? You have to send out, just like when you're sending out a resume for a job, a traditional job, you have to send out whole heap of applications. You have to pitch to a lot of clients, right? Initially, you have to pitch to a lot of clients. You have to submit a good proposal. You have to find creative ways to submit your pitches, because chances are somebody else is doing the same thing. And because your email or your direct message on Instagram looks similar to what somebody else is doing, the potential client just ignore it and move on to somebody else. So you have to be creative and find strategies in order to create the perfect pitch and set a target. So for example, if you say you're going to send 10 messages today, so that would be, if you're doing it 5 days a week, that would be 50 messages. Hopefully somebody, 1 out of the 50, respond to you. But don't just send 5 for the week and expect that you're going to get success. It doesn't work like that.
Exactly. I always say what's meant for you will be for you.
Yeah.
And one no, I've had this happen a lot in my own business, also clients that I've worked with. When a client no longer wants to work with you, maybe because the contract has ended or they've pivoted in another direction, I feel like that always means that the door is open for a more aligned client.
Yeah.
You know, your dream client, a better opportunity. Because when one door closes, one always opens. And I'm like living proof. I've had that experience happen. I've also witnessed it happen in my clients' businesses where they've lost a client because maybe the client can no longer pay their invoice, or they've pivoted, or there's just so many reasons, you know, why clients transition. But after that, she got a dream client. So it's just like I always say, when one door closes, another one will open, and what's meant for you will be for you. Don't think that just because somebody says no, it doesn't mean that you're not great and qualified. You are those things. You are, you know, you have your superpower. We are unique. We said that multiple times, but don't get discouraged. And like Steven said, you have to continuously put yourself out there, pitch yourself, show up for yourself, believe in yourself.
I know we touched on it earlier, but pricing, you have to, as I mentioned, you have to do your market research and find out, depending on the location where you're based, because I know some virtual assistants might charge a different rate from what you charge since you're based in the US, referring to the Jamaican versus the US based freelancers. Well, in some cases, it doesn't really matter your location. It's just based on your experience and what you're offering under your packages. Another thing to point out is that you need to, what is it? Yeah. If you need to pitch for free, right? So offer, especially if you're a newbie, so you're trying this for the first time, ask your friends, ask your family members who will need your help with a particular project, and you just give them a free service, right? And then you ask them to write a nice review that you can add to your portfolio. You can also do this when you're reaching out to clients. You can tell them that you're going to do 1 week 1 week worth of work for free, or something like that. Or if you're editing a video, you edit 3 videos for free, and if they like it, then you can create a relationship and move
Yeah.
forward. Also,
I
make
also
sure
say
that
be
you, yeah,
mindful of that
yeah,
though. Like
yeah,
be mindful of that because we're all human and people will like to take advantage of situations. So obviously don't let yourself be put in a situation where when you are pitching yourself and you're offering, if you do choose to offer a free assignment, just be mindful of the terms in your agreement when you're making that, because you don't
yeah,
want to start doing a whole bunch of free work for somebody, because again, we do want to be paid and appreciated and valued for the expertise and the services that we offer. So yeah, just be
yeah,
mindful of that.
yeah. Also, make sure you have a contract. You need to have a contract. Um, and this is not 2017 when I got started. This is 2024. So creating a contract is a lot easier than it was back in the day.
Yeah.
Again, Chat GPT. You can go on Chat GPT, give it your prompt, tell the services you're offering. You can add the client's name, and then you give all the details that you want to be included in the contract, and ChatGPT can write that contract for you. You can change it if you wish, do some tweaks here and there, or if you're satisfied, you can use as is if you haven't found any issues with it. So it's always good to make sure that you have that when running your business.
Agreed. So I think that this kind of too, like when we're talking about making sure that you have these essentials to get started or ways to overcome any challenges that you're dealing with, I think another key point is networking and your
Yeah,
community,
yeah,
which kind of
yeah.
segues us into the
Network,
next
yeah.
topic. Yeah, is that building a network in any industry is so vital. I can't tell you how many opportunities I've been presented with just because of the connections or people that I've met in the online space, people that some people I've never even met in person. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Stephen, we haven't had the chance to meet in person, but we've connected on several times. But there are other virtual assistants or onlinepreneurs that I have had the opportunity to connect in person, and or some that have presented me with opportunities,
Yeah.
whether that be with clients or referrals or even coaching programs. Somebody like a friend that I met through the online space gifted me a package because a service that she wasn't able to attend. But it's just like little things like that. When you network and you build these relationships with other people, and again, it's also so nice to connect with somebody who understands what you're going through
Yeah,
being an
that's true.
online business owner.
And bounce
But
ideas and get tips
yes,
and tricks. Yeah,
so it's just
yeah,
so great for that network because it truly allows you to, I mean, have these connections, whether that means more educational opportunities, or when they have a client or somebody who wants a particular service, you come first of mind
mm-hmm.
that they may want to work with you, or present you with opportunities for speaking events, podcast events. It's just networking can really put you in, it can really advance your opportunities in any
Mm-hmm.
business, any
Yeah,
career that you have.
yeah. So in terms of the networking, if you're one of those persons, well, not you, but yeah,
Yeah.
if you like to be around people, then going to co-working spaces is a good place to network and to meet people. Now, alternatively, if you're all right with online platforms, meeting people online, and then you can probably meet them in the future, a good way to do that is one, Facebook groups, two, Instagram, three, LinkedIn. And you can have some Slack channels and Discord channels that you have people within your particular niche that you can join and collaborate with. Now, the thing with Instagram is that once you're posting content on your niche, there's a good way for you to probably find people in your niche. So one, do a search. Two, after a while, the algorithm will suggest pages, profiles to you that are similar to you, to yours. Make sure you follow. Don't just like their post or follow for follow's sake. Comment, engage with them. Slide into their DMs and have conversations.
Yeah, you want to build
Um,
a relationship, you
yeah,
know?
so
And
build
I know that
relationship.
for a lot of us, it's like awkward because it's like the online space, especially I guess like maybe for our generation, not so much now for this younger generation because they like were
Are you saying
introduced
we're
to social media.
old?
Huh?
Are you
I,
saying we're old?
I don't know. I'm 21. But seriously though, like, you know, it's like a stranger danger in
Yeah.
our generation growing up. So sometimes it's like, I know my husband too, he's always like, you've met people from the online space. And then my friends sometimes will think it's the weirdest thing, but I'm like, I have built some really good networks from people in
Yeah.
the online community. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, same way how I was introduced to the VA program that I first joined was because
Mm-hmm.
I had a travel blog. It's just so many things that I've been introduced to or connected with, or clients that I've received because of relationships that I built
Yeah.
on Instagram. Because right now for me, my number one referral and how I make connections right now is through Instagram, and then second is LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's all about building that relationship. And I know that sounds so corny and weird, but I mean, make your online friend. Why
Yeah.
not have a business
Yeah.
friend?
And LinkedIn, in regards to LinkedIn,
Is
you
that your
need to
brother?
engage on, huh?
So is that your brother?
Who?
Y'all have the
Oh
same
yeah.
last name? Okay.
Yeah, that's my brother. Because I know you don't know any other Stanberry except me.
And
So
literally,
yeah,
I seen it pop up. I said, oh, that must be family.
yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Um, so in terms of LinkedIn, you have to engage, you have to collaborate. So don't just go on LinkedIn and like posts. You have to comment, follow people in your niche, or you can connect with them. Send them messages, reach out for tips and tricks if you know that they're in the space a little longer than you. It's okay to collaborate and get some information from them as how you can build your own brand. I don't want to give too much away about the brand yet
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I
yeah.
think we have to discuss that as well, right? Yeah,
I feel like it was kind of like touched on when we were talking about like,
yeah,
you know, showing up online and being
yeah,
authentically yourself. And that was also like leveraging social media. And we
yeah.
talked
So
about
building your
Facebook
brand
and stuff.
online, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically building your brand. The only way you can build a brand is to engage. You have to post, you have to engage, and you have to collaborate like what we're doing right now. So people, this wasn't my initial idea. I wanted to do a video, but she decided that she wanted to be live. So here we are on the live.
Wow. Are you like trying to throw me under the bus
Yes,
for our live
yes.
here?
I'm throwing you under the
This is a
bus.
better opportunity. A reel is just not as, I mean, y'all would not have gotten all this value that
Yeah,
we've been dropping in this, as well as this is going to be a replay. So it'll be on our page
yeah,
for other people down the road to come and check it out if they're interested in joining the freelance community. Way better than a collab reel. I don't even know what we would have done, but I don't know why I
yeah,
felt like that was appropriate. But yeah, so I've been like, I think that we basically touched on everything on our notes. We kind of hopped around in it, but it was all about really talking about the importance of becoming a freelancer,
yeah.
how it is allows you to have that flexible and freedom and allowing you to create your own schedule, how you can get started. You know, Stephen shared those essential steps, and I shared a little bit too about, you know, getting your services and packaging guide. He also talked about selecting and identifying your niche, as well as getting an email, all these essentials that you can get started with, finding clients. We touched on those tools too. So if
Getting
anyone,
testimonials.
yeah, and testimonials as
And
well.
make sure you're sure to share those testimonials on your social media pages until you get a website. So
Yes.
yeah, so you need to allow future clients to see what other persons are saying about you.
Yeah. And that goes back to like making sure how you talked about optimizing LinkedIn.
Hmm.
It's same thing, optimizing your Instagram. So with those testimonials, create a highlight. I
Yeah.
love to have a highlight of all my client reviews and testimonials so that people can see with the work that you've done and how your clients are raving about you. And when people see how your clients rave about you, they're more likely to work with you because, I mean, they're getting that firsthand experience and opinion of somebody that's already been working with you one-on-one. So that's
Hmm.
really nice. So speaking of working with each other, tell people how they can work with you and how you can support them in your coaching and mentorship programs or the services that you offer to.
There's so many. Well, you know, I have the freelancing coaching service. You can book me using the link in my bio. As well as I have a ton of resources in my bio, both free and paid, so you can get that right there. So if you need one-on-one coaching or you just need a general consultation, and when I say one-on-one coaching, I'm referring to long-term, or you just want a one-off conversation to discuss your skills and how to get started in freelancing, then all of that, you can book that through the link in my bio. And if you need video editing, short form talking head video like me talking now. So people find that terminology funny, but that's what you call it, a talking head video, right? So yeah, so if you need edits for talking head videos, social media management, digital marketing, then you can just send me a message as well and we can get started.
Yeah.
You can connect with me as well on LinkedIn. You can follow me on, what's the other platform?
Facebook.
Instagram. Yeah. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, or now X. Subscribe to me on YouTube and all of that. The link is in my bio. So you can find all the links to those places there, as well as TikTok. So remember, this is my first Instagram live.
I did not.
Yeah, I've always been live on TikTok. This is my first live
I didn't know
on
it was your first.
Instagram.
Yeah, I know you go live on TikTok, which is
Yeah.
what we're going to be doing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we were able to do this live together. And yeah, so Steven Stanberry, he is your go-to for all freelancing. Any questions you have about freelancing, mentorship, coaching, he does a lot with digital marketing, video marketing, so content creation. Check him out. As he said, all the links are in his bio. And again, I'm Alaina Case, the owner of Elite VA Services, the founder of Elite VA Services, and I support women in building virtual assistant businesses to create a life filled with freedom and flexibility. And we do so in our VA, the Elite Way programs. So with my guidance and support, you'll be able to create a career that you love. Again, we want to build our careers around our life, not our life around our careers, and all the details about how I can work with you or how you can work with me to support each other can be found in the link in my bio. So I'm super excited that we got to talk about all things freelancing. Today was really just dabbling in how you can get started as a freelancer, why it is a great opportunity to create a career that allows you to have freedom and flexibility.
Yeah.
We can't stress it enough. And do you have any like last closing marks you want to say, like the one tip that you want to leave them with, or the big statement?
Don't be afraid of challenges, right? Because fear is the thing that holds a lot of persons back, right? So especially freelancing, you and I we are freelancers technically because you're a freelancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know every day is not a good day, meaning is not every day that your profit is up, right? Some days it's lower, right? But don't worry about that. Once you put in the work, the time and effort, and with automation and all these AI gadgets that you can use, you can successfully run a freelancing business, whether it's a digital marketing agency or virtual assistant services, anyone, you decide, and you'll be able to reap the benefits. The market is not saturated. There's a piece of the pie for all of us, and if you want to join in, just reach out to us. Don't be afraid. Send us a message. It won't cost you anything to send us a message.
Yeah, most definitely. Don't be scared to reach out to us. So I'm super excited because we actually are going to have part 2 and part 2 of
On
our
TikTok.
Instagram live series. Yeah, it's going to be on TikTok, on Steven. So we'll actually drop some information about that in this coming week. But that is all. It's going to be about mastering freelance freedom. So strategies for growth and balance. So thank you for tuning in today's live, Steven. Great conversation. And I will see you on TikTok
No, but
on March.
before we go, you have to let the people know that you're Jamaican, because they might hear you and think that you're not Jamaican.
Yeah, no, I sound like a yardie, but my mom and grandma are Jamaican. No, I can't speak patois, but if you ever talking to me, I will fully understand what you're saying. I am true reggae girl to the bone. So, island girl to the bone. Love it. Every music that I hear. So yeah, this is so funny. Didn't even think about that. But yes, I'm a Jamaican girl, island girl. But you would never know. I wish I had the accent. Just had to crush my dreams there, huh?
Yeah, just move back, and after a while you get back the accent.
Oh, a couple years, we'll see. God willing. God willing, hopefully. All right. Later. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.